All right, well, welcome back to another episode of The Sportsman. We're all in a great mood here. Joe informed me that he's got a hard out at 10:30, so that gives him a solid 45 minutes. Jet's shitting his brains out from a new diet tip that I gave him. And there's not a whole lot to talk about, but I'm
By
feeling
the
good. I'm
way,
happy to see you guys.
I
Gentlemen, Jet, how are you feeling?
didn't want to say anything either but I got to go at 10:30 also. I didn't want to. I was hoping somebody else would say
Hey,
something.
listen, with all,
There's
in all
not so much
fairness,
sports.
there's
Oh,
there's
there's
a
not.
limited amount of sports on right now. NFL's done.
Well, let's not make excuses here. If there were a ton of sports or there were no sports, 10:30 is when you have to go. All right, let's get into the NBA All-Star Weekend. Everyone's favorite weekend of the year is the NBA. Team Candace versus Team Chuck. Everyone's interested in that kind of thing. Did you guys watch? Were you interested? Did you see the Wemby Chris Paul thing? What'd you guys
Didn't
think?
watch a
It's just a
second.
mess. Just
I
a
didn't watch a
mess.
second. I didn't watch an absolute second of it. I tuned in for the slam dunk contest where Matt McClung, who doesn't play in the NBA, won a three-peat jumping over a car.
Hmm.
There's got to be some kind of like stipulation that if you don't play an equivalent of like 3 games a year, like in totality, like you're not allowed to go into the slam dunk contest. And you know what else I'm out on is these other NBA players like Giannis tagging John Morant saying, I'll do it if you do it. They never do it. So stop teasing us because you're not going to jump. You're not going to dunk. You're just going to sit there on the side and do one of these when this guy jumps over a car who doesn't play in the NBA. So that was the extent that I watched. The NBA All-Star game is in shambles. I'm sorry, I'm going right into it. The three-point shooting, it's just no one cares. By the way, whose great idea was it to illuminate the floor blue and then have one of the teams wearing blue? It was like they were like translucent, like they were disguised. You couldn't see what the fuck was going on. It's an absolute shambles. They got to cut it,
I thought you didn't
repair it.
watch it, Pete.
I didn't. I turned it on for 1 second. I saw a tweet on the floor. I didn't watch any of it. It's like I don't have time for that. Like it's just the NBA is in dire need of like revamping, figuring something out. They at least had this blockbuster trade with Luca that brought a lot of attention to it recently. But like outside of that, it's been a problem for some time. And it starts and ends with the three-point shot that, quite frankly, has gotten out of control. Guys are trying to hit shots from half court now. I don't know. That's my rant. I'm done. I'm sorry.
Jet, do you happen
I,
to be an All-Star guy?
I used to. I didn't watch it at all. I saw the some of the clips online. The Wemby Chris Paul thing was hilarious, I
What
thought.
happened with that, anyways?
They so part of like the skills challenge or whatever is you go to the ball and you got to take the shots until you make them. So instead of trying the shots, they just grabbed the balls and just rolled them off the thing and then went to the next spot. It was so funny, and it was the most Chris Paul thing ever. Though apparently it wasn't his decision, so clearly he's rubbing off on Wemby.
Wemby.
That was like the only notable thing. The dunk, I got no problem with Mac McClung. They only bring him in because I mean, what I should say, he brings interest. Like he's a dunker, he cares, he brings some interest. But yeah, I mean, the whole thing's ridiculous now. No one gives a shit, and the players did it. I actually remember they did it in Chicago a few years ago. It was right after
Mhm.
Kobe had died. The first All Star game was electric, and I don't know if that's why or is because it was like a tight match, and they had it where. Um, they did the that Elam ending where like once you hit a certain amount of points, it's over, and it got crazy at the end. And then after, guys stopped giving a shit. So I don't know. I don't. Why don't they just cancel the All-Star game or do like a U.S. against the world? Or I just don't think the
Yeah.
players are just not. Unfortunately, like unlike hockey, as we saw, like the players aren't. I'm not gonna say they're not passionate about basketball because they are, but they're not passionate about their all-star game. Like they just don't give a shit. Like and I don't know. I don't have an answer. I don't really care either. Like it's an all-star game.
Do you like basketball? Like, do you like the NBA at all anymore as a
I
product?
I used to. It's to me now. It's just a hard watch. Like I can't. It's just such a hard watch. Like,
What about the playoffs? Were you watching the playoffs?
no. I mean,
Really? See,
unless
I'll
I'm
watch the playoffs. Like I think once you get
but
to
the
the
playoffs are
playoffs,
not too. It used to be that the playoffs, and I guess it still is a little bit, but like even in the regular season, if the games were out of hand, the playoffs would become like a half court game. Guys would play a lot more defense. The scores were much lower. It was a lot more intense. I don't know. It might be a me problem. I think I'm just too old. Like I don't care as much anymore because these guys aren't necessarily like my heroes anymore. So I don't know. It's fucking weird though watching the NBA. The regular season is tough, man. Games going
Yeah,
100.
it is.
Also, and credit these guys, they're so fucking good now that it's impossible to play defense, even if the refs weren't blowing every ticky tack foul. The guys don't miss. So it's like every three ball that's attempted goes in. They rush up. It's like, of course, it's looking like that because these guys are so talented now. I don't know. They got a problem, I think, though. I really do.
I think they got a huge problem. I don't see them going anywhere but down, man.
Did you
They
see
haven't.
I think it was Mark Titus or somebody at Barstool was like, here's how you fix the NBA. He's like, every night you have one rim around the league that's a little loose, one backboard that's going to shatter. And he's like, and everybody has to watch the games to determine which backboard is going to shatter that. That's what he said.
That fix a few things.
Yeah, I'd watch
I'd
for
get a few people in there.
league.
Yeah. You know what they should do is they should get a green that rotates. That's how they should fix everything.
that'll fix all their problems.
They just need more gimmicks is all they should do.
Bring in the 4-pointer.
Yeah, dude. They should just shoot on a basket that's on a simulator. They should just throw basketballs into a screen.
They need their best player. They need their best player to have a gambling problem.
All right, let's move on here to the Four Nations, the game that was sweeping the nation here. Joey D, you're a hockey guy. What'd you see? I mean, everyone wouldn't shut the fuck up about it.
I mean, this is what the NBA needs to look at. This is the way you do it, right? Like, first time for the NHL to do this. I think it's a great concept. It gives a lot of pride. The fans have been all in on it. So going back to this past week, Canada played US. US really stepped up and fucking played some unbelievable hockey. 3 fights, first 9 seconds. Electric. You got both Kachuk brothers dropping the gloves. You got JT Miller trying to fight a guy who's 12 feet taller than him. It was electric, Perico. And I think this is just like a recipe for success. Now, Canada loses. Huge, by the way, I put a tweet out on my or I don't know if you call them tweets anymore. I got lambasted. All I said was well, aside from calling, French Canadian separatists, which that was a bit much. But what I did say is that the booing of the national anthem to me, and I understand all the political background and stuff, I'm not taken away from that. I get that there's a lot of unrest right now in Canada and the US and whatnot, but you just don't boo an anthem. And I got lit the fuck up on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, it just kind of added to the rivalry between these two teams. Canada loses, US drop their balls on us, and then we go out, just destroyed Finland 4-0 in the third period. They ended up making it a game, but it was never a game. And now we get a rematch tomorrow night, which by this time, the podcast will be out. So I guess tonight, if you're considering you're listening to the podcast now, USA, Team Canada, the final in Boston. It's going to be freaking electric. And I don't think there's really any favorites. I looked at the lines. I think both teams are minus 120 money line. So it's going to be a great game. Now, USA has a bunch of injuries or guys banged up. Looks like Quinn Hughes is going to come in. My very own Canucks might end up banging me on Team USA. But I think it's going to be an unbelievable game. And it's just really, really cool to see this country talking about hockey. Because you guys know, unless you're living in like one of the original 6 cities, unless you're living in, Chicago or Detroit or, like some of these cities, they don't care about hockey, right? So it's really cool to see hockey being the focal point right now in the sports world. And I think it's awesome.
Jet?
Yeah, I didn't watch it. I got nothing.
Will you watch the final?
No. I'll catch
Is that a hockey thing? You just don't watch much hockey, or?
I didn't know it was happening. Okay, which could be a problem. I will say, Four Nations is an unbelievable name that they came up with. So props to them, because that's like so much better than being like the all-star game. I had a vested interest in Sweden pulling it off, but unfortunately they couldn't do it. Were they in it? Sweden and Finland, right?
Sweden,
Yeah.
Finland, US, and
Right.
Canada.
So I have much respect I can't speak on this. I thought it was cool. I thought the fighting was cool. I was surprised at how much they cared, because immediately when it turned out to the Four Nations, I was like, is this some new, not the Olympics, but is this some sort of FIBA thing? Like, what's going on here? They're like, no, it's just the All-Star game. I was like, what? Like,
It's
so
sick.
so respect. But anytime hockey guys are going to be playing for their country, it's like I guess they kind of treat it like the Olympics. So it was great. It was great.
They got it right, man. I don't know what you think, Dick, but I think this is awesome. You got a collection of the best players out there, and they're taking it very seriously. It's not like a rink-a-dink like joke. Like these guys want to fucking win.
Yeah, it was really smart by the NHL to do it that way. Because, like, how do you get a bunch of grown guys who are making millions and millions of dollars to fucking be interested in an all-star game, which essentially it is? Because you can't do it in any other sport. These guys are just afraid of getting hurt. They just want to protect themselves, and they don't care at all. So what you do is you fucking attach countries to it, and these fucking guys get so patriotic about their countries, and they fucking give a shit all of a sudden again. So, like Jet said earlier with the NBA, maybe you make it U.S. versus the world or something, and make these guys a little bit more interested, like it is an Olympics. That might be something to link into. But I thought the NHL, yeah, and I watched that first game, the U.S. Canada game. That was just electric, man. That was some of the best shit. I mean, that had like finals energy to it.
Oh, it really did.
It was incredible.
The US in the last several years has really they've really trended upward in terms of the talent that they're put on the ice, and I think I was listening to Spitting Chicklets, you talk about a guy like Kachuk, for example, they move, or some of these guys like they're having kids now who are great hockey players, and they're just like the US talent pool is growing like tremendously. Like there was always good US hockey players. Like I remember back in the day, like Mike Modano was like, the US poster child, and like they had good players, but like Canada for years was always like the first line of hockey in any shape or form. Like we've dominated for years. And now it's like I don't know who's gonna win, to be honest. I think the US could beat us again, but it's gonna be awesome to watch.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, let's move on here to a sport that I think Jet is watching, which is men's college basketball.
Oh,
You getting your feet wet in that one yet, Jet, or is this another mess?
No, I hadn't this year. And then I had a little, once like the NFL playoffs come around and it starts heating up. After the Super Bowl, though, you get a month of this mad dash of college basketball that's incredible. So it's fun now. It's impossible to bet on, which is tough. So that's the issue. You're betting on kids who have essays due, which is kind of, but I don't like it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of action going on.
You got a team that you've been riding recently? Is there a team?
No. I've loved watching what St. John's has done this year.
Okay.
Being like, because St. John's was always whatever, and everybody's like, "Oh my God, it's St. John's." They play in New York. They go to the Garden every once in a while.
Patino speech.
No one really cared. Yeah, and then Patino, and then they were getting better. They had Chris Mullen was coaching there for a little bit, and they were solid. And then I don't think they've ever won a tournament game, or they maybe have won one or none. And then Patino came, they got better and better, and now they're a fucking powerhouse. They play defense.
Their defense is amazing.
They're fun to watch because they like play defense, which you can't see in like the NBA. So I like watching St. John's this year. I've watched a lot of the Big East is always I like Creighton and St. John's and Marquette, all these teams. It's fun. It's there's been a lot of good college basketball lately.
Joey D.
I mean, I think obviously they're ranked number one. There was just a huge game, Auburn, Alabama, and I think Auburn really showed up and proved that I think they're the best team in the country. Bruce Pearl's an awesome coach. This Broom is as good a center as you're going to get. And I thought Alabama was right there, but Cooper Flagg, what he's doing with Duke is really fun to watch as a freshman. They're up there. Florida looks good. there's a bunch of teams. I wouldn't count UConn out of it still too. I mean, they've been playing solid basketball now. And you have a coach like Hurley. I think that's like enough sometimes. Like you saw Patino, what he's doing in St. John's. Hurley's, to me, one of the best coaches in college men's basketball. So I think that makes a big deal because, like Jet said, these guys are kids. So you have good leadership. You have a coach who knows, has experience. I think it's going to take them far. Now, Ticket, there's a team that you and I have been successful on so far, your alma mater. UCLA is a fun team to watch, and they've been very successul. So
alma mater.
I don't know.
Almost alma.
Almost alma, not quite mater.
Yeah, they gave me the alma part. They didn't give me the mater.
Yeah, it was his red shirt alma mater.
I don't know. It's like Jet said, it's so hard to place a wager because night to night, you just don't know what these kids are going to do, right? Like it's pretty wild. So there's a lot of fraudulent teams that just don't got it this year. Kansas, one of them. We saw them last night just get absolutely
again. They lost last night.
They lost by 32 points to BYU.
They're the most disappointing, overrated team for the last bunch of years until they won it.
Yeah, just a brutal team. So it's going to be great. I mean, the fact that March is literally like a stone's throw away, it's going to be a lot of fun. And I know Jet said he's retired, but March Madness will bring the young man out for a couple weeks anyways.
Are you telling people that you're retired for now? Are you actually not betting on any college basketball?
No, I haven't in a little bit, but I will. Listen, I'll taste the right game there, Pop.
You're a big Bruce Pearl guy. Sometimes I'll be flipping through like Instagram and I'll see like something about Bruce Pearl and it'll be like the Jet liked it.
I like Bruce Pearl. I like him. I like him a lot. He's
very passionate.
He's a good coach. He had a little recruiting scandal, but we don't really talk about much. He went
sure.
Now he's back in the game. All we're trying to do, Pop, is elevate young people. All right. And we're trying to give them a chance and put them on a path to be successful people. Okay. Nick Saban. You ever see that speech where he's like, Muhsin Muhammad, everybody wanted him off the team. I didn't kick him off the team. Now his daughters went to Yale. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
It's like, everybody, they're killing me in the paper. He's got like a Coca-Cola next to him. They're killing me in the paper. What did I do? I didn't kick him off the team. I rehabilitated him. That's what happened. So that's what we're doing. We're just building the future.
But Bruce Pearl, he's tried, right? He's part of the crew.
Oh, he is.
Yeah, big time. And now he's at Auburn, Alabama.
Yeah, huge. Just building it one at a time. Yeah.
He's spreading the good word down there in Alabama.
I've never been to Alabama.
I haven't either.
But you will.
I'd love to go to Tuscaloosa for a game.
I would. There's a lot of golf out there.
Yeah, just ask Josh Kelly. He's moving there. Knows all about Birmingham.
Yeah, he'll be our host. We'll stay in that simulator barn.
The golf barn.
Golf barn. It'll house Bob Sports.
All right.
What do you think, Bob? Do you have any team that you're obviously going UCLA?
I mean, at this point, I pretty much keep my eye just on UCLA and UConn. I mean, just basketball in general, the NBA is just giving me such a bad taste in my mouth. Now, college basketball is a much better version of it, but I only got so much time in my day, and just college basketball has not made it back onto my radar yet. I'm sure it will as we get to March here, but I can honestly say I haven't been. UCLA, they're good. They're not great.
Are they going to make the tournament?
They're going to be a bubble team. They're going to be real close.
There are always some like teams that are just like could make like a team like Illinois can make a run. Creighton,
Creighton's solid, man.
I don't think Nebraska is going to make the tournament, but they're hot as hell right now.
Yeah, that team's banging. I'm done with them, man.
They banged me a few times, but now they're hot as hell. That's how it goes. And then the SEC, obviously, Duke's amazing. Clemson is really – there's just good teams all over the place.
Did you see Illinois drop that kid, Terrence Shannon's jersey upside down?
Yeah, it was tough.
Oh, my God. What a bad look.
It kind of looks badass, to be honest, like those hats now that like people do like the arch upside down. It was kind of cool, but it was an obvious fuck up.
I couldn't watch it. I knew what was coming, and I it's too cringy for me. I couldn't watch it.
You didn't watch it?
Well, I was trying. They were like Terrence Shannon, and I saw the screenshot, and then they clicked the video. I was like, I can't. The secondhand embarrassment is too much. I hate that. I couldn't watch it.
If you were the athletic director for the Fighting Illini, you would have reamed someone's ass. Are you fucking stupid?
I couldn't.
How dumb do you have to be? It's upside down.
I couldn't watch it, so I went on YouTube and I watched car crashes 5-hour compilation.
God, dude, this guy's a liability, man.
I would though. I would have fucking. You listen. You can't be fucking that up. It was funny. I hope he handled it well. But it's just such, and also it's one of those moments where everybody in the building is helpless. You know what I mean? Like, is somebody going to come and flip that shit around? No. So the whole building pauses for 10 seconds. And is like, are we supposed to laugh or cry? And he's standing there in his big moment being like, yo, they banged me.
They hung that thing on a Wednesday night, actually. They were cutting it close.
Which is wild.
All right, let's move on to some smaller NFL stories. First up, Joe's boy Aaron Rodgers making some waves, pretty much begging to stay there in New York. Doesn't seem like they want him unless he's got to report to OTAs like everybody else does, and he's got to stop going on the Pat McAfee show. And it sounds like even if he does those things, which he probably won't, they still don't really want him. Joe, what do you think of Aaron Rodgers?
I think it's time for him to hang him up, man. I listen, the guy's one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play the game. There's no questioning that. He's a decorated, no question, first ballot Hall of Famer. But the bottom line is, like, this is a league of what have you done for me lately? And he went to the Jets trying to bring them a potential run to the championship. First year there, first game, first series, torn Achilles. I mean, that's not his fault. Rehabs this year, comes back really just underperformed. The whole team just did not live up to the hype whatsoever. And they're paying him, and he's old, and it's like, I don't blame them for wanting to move on. They have no allegiance to Aaron Rodgers. They don't have a responsibility to keep him there. So, he's also a guy like these guys who are like Hall of Fame quarterbacks. When they get into like the twilight of their career, they kind of just reinvent how things are done. They don't report to camp early. They don't do the things that, they would have done when they were younger, because they can kind of, they can kind of do what they want to do and they can get away with it. But, I don't know if Aaron Rodgers being with the Jets makes them any better this year. I don't know. The guy is really, in terms of just from like an eyesight, like just looking at him, he can't drop back in the pocket. He's like immobile. Like, he can barely run. He was getting sacked every second, third play. So I think for the Jets, you almost want a clean slate, move on. Now they're going to lose a bunch of money in dead cap space, but it's a bad situation. If you're a Jets fan, I feel bad for you because you're just cursed.
Jack, what do you think?
I thought he was gone. I didn't know there was even this ultimatum they gave. I thought they were like, yeah, they met and he's like, yeah, we're going to move on because they got the new coach. And they're like, they want a fresh start. I didn't know. Somebody will sign him. I didn't know, or somebody will. Is he a free agent?
No, but they'll have to like release him and owe him all this dead money.
Oh, well, I mean, somebody.
Well, it seems like the Steelers would be the top choice, is what's circulating around.
But the Steelers have a quota. They
got
Russ. They've got another old guy. I mean,
they got Russ.
One old guy.
They got Trubisky. Fields. They got Kyle Allen. They got 3 quarterbacks.
Do they have Fields still, or is he gone?
Yeah.
My bad. They have Fields. Trubisky. They have Justin Fields. Trubisky's on the Bills.
Trubisky's with the Bills.
Trubisky's, yeah, still finding work somewhere. I will never understand that. Like, you're telling me millions of kids quarterbacks graduate from these colleges every year, but Mitch Trubisky's still like your second best option in
apparently
Buffalo.
He's a great locker room guy too.
I just think that makes no sense.
Second pick in the draft, dude, and he was solid on the Bears. Listen, Pop, you're only as good as your fucking coaching staff.
Yeah, I guess. All right, let's move on here to Micah Parsons. Do you think the Cowboys should trade him off, or do you think they should keep him around?
I'll let Jed handle this one. I know where he stands with Micah.
Listen, Come on, why are you doing that to me? I don't get the bit. I don't get it. I think he's overrated. That's it. I think Michael Parsons is overrated. He's one of these guys. There are a few guys every year who come into the league, and it happens a lot in the NFL, and they go like they're just like anointed as like the greatest player ever. They have this incredible rookie year, and then they're not as good moving forward, but they've built this reputation and this legacy that they're incredible, and they're just not. And I don't like. He's going to catch. He's Micah Parsons type of guy to catch wind of this and talk about it on his podcast and be like,
"That's good. We'll take whatever we can."
What do these guys know about sports? If you haven't played the game, you shouldn't be talking about it. There's going to be a clip of Micah Parsons in his fucking bedroom, dimly lit bedroom, with like a fucking that light and mic on him, talking shit about us in the next few days, though.
I bet Nick Saban could rehabilitate him, though. I bet there's still hope for him. All right, one more thing before we move on to who's a problem. Let's just talk about Cooper Kupp. Where should he be traded? Where do you think a guy like him should go?
Green Bay Packers.
I was going to say the Bears for sure.
What? Oh, just because you guys like washed up guys?
He's not washed up.
Still got it.
Guys get washed up in a year. I don't get that. Why is he washed up? He just didn't.
No, he's not washed up. I guess he just came back and people had expectations of him being the same old Cooper Kupp, catching 20 passes for 175, but they didn't throw the ball to him. That's where I was going.
Well, Puka Nacua got like 12 looks a game. Like that's the problem, right? He's a stud, and he became, Stafford's favorite target. I think like a team like Green Bay, you put him there. Like, this guy is a savvy veteran. He would give us a number one presence and make everyone around him so much better. I think that would be a great spot. Another spot where he could go.
Buffalo. I think Josh Allen could use a guy.
Yeah, I think Buffalo would be a good one. You'd argue even Dallas. No, Dallas. I mean, if you had him opposite of CeeDee Lamb, I mean, as a slot receiver, that would be pretty fucking sick. But they got to focus on more than just a receiver. He could go anywhere and make any team better. He's an awesome player. He's got a good attitude, and he's a guy that you would love to have on your team, quite frankly.
Sure, absolutely. All right, now let's move on here to who's a problem. Joe, do you have one ready, or should I go to Yams?
Go to Yaman first. Although no, I have one.
Okay, so my problem for this week,
back to Joey.
I have one, and it's a guy that Ticket and I have oftentimes gone back and forth on, and I came out on top on this one, which is rare because normally Ticket's takes are like a nice big pot of stew that the longer they take, the better they get. But this one, he missed the mark. Trevor Lawrence is my problem. The fact that this guy, there was a rumor that he might be talked about going to the Steelers. Obviously, he has a no trade clause, so it would have to be him agreeing to that. And he just came out, quite frankly, and said, I'll never go to Pittsburgh. Listen, buddy, you are in no position to be telling different teams you're not going there or where you want to play. Quite frankly, this guy needs to resurge his career, because what we've seen the last couple of years, this guy just has all the talent in the world and is just doing nothing with it. And maybe a team like Steelers, like Pittsburgh, an environment there where the fans will hold you accountable and will fucking actually boo your ass if you don't play well. Maybe that's what this guy needs to go and be successful. Now, I know Kirk is with the Jaguars. He's a fan of Trevor Lawrence, so I'm not talking shit about him. But at the end of the day, it's like, I don't understand why players nowadays are so quick to say, I'm not playing there, I'm not going here, I'm not going there. Like, there should be a willingness. Like, if you obviously have a no trade clause, so it's a bit different. I get that. But like, at the same time, like, if there's a team that wants to trade for you, you should be willing to go there and play hard and try to win a championship. Should be your first and first priority. Am I wrong, guys?
Well, I too will never go to Pittsburgh, so I kind of get it. But
oh, you're going to Pittsburgh. Oh, you're going to Pittsburgh.
I've heard it's nice.
Yeah, it is. It's like any city.
Yeah.
Now, Jen, do you think that Trevor is like shown all his cards? Do you think he's definitely like shitty, or do you think he's got a chance at being successful somewhere?
No, the latter. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's shown it.
Okay.
Well, why? That's
Joey D just does not like this guy.
This is my point though. Like, why not go somewhere else? Like a team
Oh,
like the
I don't know.
Steelers.
He was drafted by
The Jaguars. The
He probably
Jaguars are
bought a
not
house
good.
not only did he buy a house, he probably bought the land that he then built the house on. So like he's gotten more invested in Jackson.
But my
like,
point is players used to want to win. And nowadays it seems like players are more vested in where they play and
players want, I think now back in the day, players wanted to win, but they wanted to win for their teams that they were on. Now they want to win and they just jump around. Also, it's not like Pittsburgh is a fucking the new,
they're a market, they're a team that with a good quarterback or a guy who could play really good quarterback, their team with their defense that they could make a splash. So I just don't understand why.
But what did he say? He took a shot at Pittsburgh?
Yeah.
Well, that's never the right thing to do.
That's why he's my problem. And it's also he's my problem just because of the back and forth with me and Ticket for a while, and Ticket used to talk about him like he was the next Joe Montana.
I thought he was going to be. It wasn't based on what I was seeing. I believed that this guy was going to be a big fucking deal in the league, and he thus far, I mean, he's shown glimpses. What was it? Not this past season, but the season before when they started like 7-0 or something like that. He looked like he was going to be. He looked like he had the sauce, and you were starting to eat your words. So he's, like Jet said earlier, he's got it in there. We've seen it. He's just having a difficult time these days. Is all. Might need a change of scenery.
He was also great. He was a great college quarterback. I loved him at Clemson.
Sure he did. All right, I'll go next. My problem is the Jupiter Lynx. Okay. Did you see? We were just talking last week, Joe and I, about Tiger Woods and if he, what really he's got left. This guy took a 99 club when he was 200 yards out. Did you see that? This guy gives no fucks. He's paying no attention. He don't care. This guy don't give a fuck.
I think he was clip farming, dude.
You think that's the big new thing is clip farming? You think
Tiger Woods is not aware of what clip farming is?
Well, they didn't say go out there and clip farm, but they said go out there and fucking. They said we need that viral moment. The whole tour is riding on this clip, and I think it was fake.
You think he did that? You think that was fake?
I do. The way he was acting he's like, oh my God, I thought it was 99. It was like, bro, like you're lying. Keep going.
Tom Kim acted like it was the funniest thing he'd ever seen in his entire goddamn life. I mean, the guy was on the fucking floor laughing.
Well, he's never seen Seinfeld, clearly. Like, all right, Pop. I
will say this.
No, it's I stole anyway. Go for it.
Regardless of clip farming or not, I don't think that's going to get the show back on the tracks here for that company moving forward. But it's just this guy's checked out. I mean, he's my problem. I'm uninterested in that whole thing, and I'm uninterested in watching him take a wedge for a 99-yard shot when it's 200 yards out, hitting into a fucking screen. That was absurd. I mean, I hardly watched this thing. I turn it on, I see that. What a joke this thing is.
So are you out on the
You got one of the greatest athletes in the world reduced to a fucking clip farming joke. I mean, that's a great move. That's a problem. That's all I got to say about that. What'd you say, Joe?
Are you out on TGL completely or just on that moment?
I'm out on the whole fucking thing. Someone has to sit me down and explain why the green has to move. It's the most absurd thing. What are we going to start making basketball courts revolve now, too?
Maybe that's what we need to do.
Basketball and just fucking shoot hoops? What's the point? It needs to make more sense to me. I don't get it. I don't get it.
There's no way that Tiger didn't know, unless he is checked out. Like you said, like they play the hole. So there's no way he would have hit the first ball and then been like 100 yards off on his second.
He said that somebody told him 99 yards.
Of course somebody told him 99, but he hit a shot prior, or somebody on his team hit a shot prior to get him to 99 yards. But if you know how long the hole is, you wouldn't think that you would drive 400 yards instead of 300, unless
they also drop
or you're clip farming.
They also drop that first number sometimes too. If you're 175 out, you'll say 75 because it's
but
obvious.
But he knows that, and he knows golf. Like No, I don't think it's ever happened. When we play where somebody's like 99 and then you're like, huh, that can't be. Like, obviously, we're not looking into a fucking screen, but you still
I
know
agree. I
based on
know.
the prior shot. It's like he's Tiger Woods. Like, what?
I know. All right, Jed. Who's the problem this week? Who you got?
I got I go cliche. I've been going cliche a lot lately, but I gotta go with the golf coverage lately, specifically on Sunday. Yo, I'm watching this shit. Ludwig Oberg, okay, he's like 4 back. All right, he's making a run. They won't show him on TV for some reason, right? They're showing all these guys. They're showing Maverick McNeely, who's obviously making a run. They're showing Justin Thomas, who's 5 back. They're showing Cantlay, who's 4 back. They're showing all these guys. Aberg's making a run, and he is nowhere to be found. And all of a sudden, they go, oh, let's send it out to Oberg, who's putting for eagle on 13. And he fucking puts it to a foot. He makes a birdie. He's back in the tournament. And now all of a sudden, it's like, now they're showing his shots. They can't figure out how to, like, I'm fairly certain that before a round in the production meeting, they just pick 5 guys and they're like, these are the 5 guys we're just going to show the shots and everyone else can fuck off until the 18th hole when there's nothing left. So we show the guys who are 14 over for the day, but they're the only guys left on the course. So we have to show them. It's asinine. They're showing Denny McCarthy, who's in the final group, but he's losing, and no one can see Oberg. They're busy interviewing the fucking CEO of Genesis, right? Instead of showing the golf.
Yeah, the interview.
I understand too, because I get it. Like, Genesis pays a lot of money, so like they get their fucking CEO up there to do their propaganda or whatever the fuck they got to say about how their cars are saving lives. But you got to figure out a way to do that. Like they got to figure out a way.
Well, they got to do, I think, the way that they do with those interviews, the way they do the split screen ad where they put on one side and they still keep showing the coverage live. I think that's what they got to do. The fact that we got an entire full screen for 5 minutes of an interview during the golf match is wild.
I was never like crazy into like bashing the broadcast and the telecast. There are a lot of people who just bash them, and like I was always like, fuck it. And then on Sunday I was watching it and I was like, yo, this is poorly done. Like, I know they've been doing it like that for years, and I don't really give a shit about the slow play stuff that everybody's obsessed with. And the issue with the tour is not slow play. Like it's you know, they've been playing rounds in 5. It doesn't necessarily matter to the viewer. All you got to do is show more golf shots. Like, it's only slow play if you're following the same fucking group and watching them line their putts up. Like,
but
so
I know it'd be
cool. Got a real issue.
What do you do, like a quad box, and you just show 4 shots at a time?
No, but just go from shot to shot. You don't need, and like if it's a big shot, you can stick on it for a little bit to see. But so many times the leaders will be on the green. They'll hit their approach shots. They'll show them walking up to the green. They'll show them marking their putts. They'll show them reading their putts. You're looking at fucking 4 minutes or 3 minutes of just this one thing. You get your fucking robot camera that shows you the ocean, and then you've missed 4 or 5.
I like the ocean shots.
Yeah, it's fine. And then you're on to, and then you got to go to PGAtour.com to catch up on your guy that you're betting on to see where he's at. He's taken 4 shots since the last time they showed him. You hear a roar in the background. You're like, well, that could be one of 9 people. Then they cut to this is the worst part. They cut to the roar and they're like, you might have just heard a roar. And you're like, okay, I know what the fuck's going to happen here. You can tell by the way they're talking. Anytime they go, this just a moment ago, a guy's making an albatross. It is
also, though, like if you're at the tournament, you can only watch 1 shot at a time.
I know,
like,
but
that's the nature of golf.
I think that they're like more legally obligated to say a moment ago. Otherwise, somebody's going to sue them for broadcasting live when it's not live. They give everything away. It's crazy how I don't know what's happened, and then they do need to fix it. They just got to, honestly, I think they just got to show more golf shots. I really do. They got cameras on every fucking hole and every tower. Figure it out.
Hasn't it always sort of been that way, where there's like these 5 or 6 guys that they kind of fixate on, unless there's a big? Hasn't it always been that way? Really?
Yes, but I think, and I don't want to
better way.
No, I just think over time people have gotten sick of it. I think with like stuff people are watching on YouTube where there's much more action, and then they go to the pros and they're like, this is kind of boring. Like, they got to show more golf shots. The pros got to start eating hot dogs. They got to start eating donuts, and then they'll fucking figure it out.
I think what would be a good idea is that if they gave like an alternate broadcast option, you know how they do the ESPN Plus, you can watch
Right.
matchups, you can watch different groups. There should be a way where you could combine that into like a quad box, so you could be watching four different groups
So
at
they do
once.
that, yeah,
But
with the
well, no,
players.
but you can't do it. You can't do it all at once. You can watch one at a time.
And at the Masters, you can literally online. I know
Well,
it's harder
yeah.
on TV. You can pick guys, like you
I
can pick tons
understand.
of guys, and they'll just rattle through all their
But I'm
shots.
saying that I
Mhm.
think for like the traditional watcher, they could still have the regular broadcast feed. And then if they could move to an alternative thing where you could have multiple shots going at once for someone who's betting a matchup or wants to watch their guy, that would give a more of an option at least for that person to watch more golf shots. And then maybe they could like go back and see like how many people are viewing this. Is this something that we need to interpret and incorporate into our normal broadcast? I think that that's the way they're going to have to go about it in order to like start to develop more of a different way than what they've been doing. I don't disagree with you, Jen. I had Oberg on the final day, and when he was 8 under and the other guys were like 11, 12 under, you're watching McCarthy, you're watching McNeil, you're watching Patrick Rogers. Like they didn't show really anyone else. You're completely right
Right.
on that.
But they don't even mention it. And then all of a sudden they're like, here's for Eagle, and he drills it or whatever. And then you're like, okay, now he's back. It's like, well,
Right.
it's so bad. They really have to figure it out. And
Yeah.
a lot of it is because there's so much pageantry in golf broadcasts, and there's so much fucking fluff around it, and they just got to get into the fucking meat and potatoes of the thing.
Yeah. Fair enough. All right. Well, I got to get you guys out of here. So we'll do a few extra questions next week. But that's another episode of The Sportsman. Jet, always happy to have you on. Hope your stomach's doing better. Joey D, every week, always happy. Gentlemen, good week. I'll see everyone next week.
See you guys.